Hey everybody, welcome back to Havoc Maker Studio. My name is John, and today we're going to talk about Age of Sigmar and what is going on there. Is the sky falling? Is it the end of the line? Or is it just some big major refreshes? So before we get into that, some of you may have noticed that my last video for previewing what's coming up next has been taken down. I was all over the place with that. I was not paying attention to what was actually being released versus what was going to be released or what was already previewed and is on pre-order. I went ahead and scrubbed that embarrassing video, and we'll try to pay attention a little bit more in the future. So let's get into what's leaving Age of Sigmar, and is it the end of the line? Clearly, we know it's not the end of the line because at Adepticon 2024, just a few weeks ago, they revealed that there is a new edition coming, and I believe they said end of May, beginning of June, or maybe it's end of June, beginning of July. It's coming within the next couple months. So we know that there's a new edition. It's not going away. I seriously doubt they would sack Age of Sigmar. Age of Sigmar is, I want to say, is their second biggest seller right after 40K. And then Horus Heresy, Old World, and all the other specialist games kind of following after that. At any rate, let's take a look at what's leaving, and then we're going to discuss just really briefly what all this means for you. And, is it all doom and gloom, or is there a bit of a silver lining in the distance? So first up, and we're just going to go in order, top to bottom, and kind of cover everything. So Stormcast Eternals. Age of Sigmar's poster boys. These are what some people like to refer to as the fantasy version of Space Marines, and I totally get it. Minus a backpack, they definitely have that feel to it. It's a little bit, the lore is a little bit different, but visually and I guess physically, when you're holding the models, they are like Space Marines, but fantasy version. Totally get it, and I understand why Games Workshop did that. It helps give them, like I said, a poster child for literally their posters and all their promotional material. It gives the viewers, the gamers, the potential customers something to focus in on. Like, oh my gosh, I don't like sci-fi, but look at this fantasy models. These are amazing. And it works, as we can see that the Stormcast Eternals have the largest range of models in Age of Sigmar. And I would even, maybe I'll do a follow-up video with this, but I wouldn't be surprised if they, as of the printing or the uploading of this article, have as many units available in it as Space Marines do. Generic Space Marines. I'm not talking about all the sub factions like Dark Angels, Blood Angels, but I'm saying Space Marines in general. I would dare say they are pretty close. So, what is going away? All of this is just going away. A lot of these models have been around since 2015. I would say up until, I believe it's 2019. Or 2020. I'm going to say 2020 for Dominion. Maybe it might have been 2019, but I feel like 2020 was Dominion. So we had 5-6 years of these models being the staple for the Stormcast Eternal line. And then they came out with some slimmer, more detailed models. They got some better sculptors, some better technology that they could get more dynamic poses, slim everything up versus these old bulky suits. And you can kind of see, like, you take a look at the old Liberators, which we've seen a new preview model of for the upcoming edition, which gives you some indication some of these models are going to transition over to, or I should say units are going to transition over to the new edition. So like the Liberators, they are the older, bulkier models. And then you take a look at the Sequitors, and I believe the Sequitors please don't quote me on it. Well, you can quote me. I won't. Nobody's going to listen. I think they were much later. I would say, I think they came out when the Spooky Ghost edition came out. I can't remember the name of that. Soul Wars, I believe. And so they were 3 years older, maybe 4 years older, and let's go with 3 years older. And the models were starting to get a little bit slimmer. They weren't as big and bulky. At any rate, the technology's gotten better. The quality of their personnel to sculpt and of these models has gotten way better. So it only makes sense that they start kind of dwindling or winding down on that original line, just like what they've done with the firstborn Space Marines with Warhammer 40,000. They're slowly edging them out and getting them either totally replaced with newer type models or just let them go completely. So it might be a little sad day, but it's not the end of the world, Stormcast Eternal guys. And I'll explain for everything that's going away at the end. We'll kind of go over what's going on with these models that you have in your collections and what you can do with them afterwards. So it is a sad day to see them totally go off the line, but I would say probably 30%. I'm going to just kind of throw 30% out there, especially considering that we have so many. What is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 23 different units are going away. I would say maybe 30% of them might be remaining. So we know at least the Liberators are going to be remaining behind. So will we see, what would it, that'd be 6 models? Yeah, about 6 of these will be remaining behind. Maybe it might just be like 10%. We'll find out real soon. So moving on, we're going to talk about Skaven. Now, Skaven's not a big surprise because almost all of these models here are dated. Like they are very, very old. With the Clan Rats and the Storm Vermin probably being the newest models alongside like the Doom Flayer and the Warp Grinder. But even then, those models are still old. And do they need to be replaced? I don't think so. Like the Clan Rats and Storm Vermin, I think those are perfectly fine boxes. But Games Workshop, when they're now in this mindset, I would say that as they move forward, they need to, every edition, they need to be wiping out elements of the original line and replacing them with new unit types, new sculpts. And so about every 3 years, or I guess if you want to look at it from different game systems, every 6 years or maybe 9 years now, if we're throwing in Old World or Horus Heresy into that cycle, that there's going to be new additions. So right now, this is coming out in 2024. So 2027, maybe 2028, we'll see a new edition of Age of Sigmar, and some other line might be getting erased or models getting redone. We don't know. We'll wait and see with bated breath, but we're going to probably stick with it because this is our jam, right? So getting back to the Skaven, these Skaven models are all going away. Now, there's a good chance that I would say a lot of these are going to be replaced. Like the Clan Rats and Storm Vermin, if they keep those 2 units, but they're going to probably rename them with new sculpts as the kind of like that core infantry unit for the Skaven. What are they going to be called now? Who knows? But they're likely going to get replaced. And with something else, it might just be one new type of core unit. It might be 2. Who knows? Same thing with the Gutter Runners. Those are all older sculpts. We know that there's going to have to be some sort of core unit, at least I would say 2 core unit types that are going to come out. Now, a lot of these other ones, like the Rattling Gun, the Warp Fire, the Grinder, I can see those getting replaced. We already saw something similar going on. We'll probably see those less in relation to these individual upgrades for the units and more of individual units that you can take in like groups of 3 and such. Probably like the Doom Flayer might be something similar. We saw one with a Gatling gun on it. Looked pretty cool, I have to say, in the video that we saw at Adepticon. But a lot of these things are just going to move over to individual units or just disappear altogether. Giselles, it looked like, since they were very prominent in the video, that they're going to be getting new sculpts, which is good because these old ones classics. They're awesome, especially when you got to see them for the first time, or you got to see them on the battlefield. You're just like, oh, great. Giselles are really awesome units and really kind of cool, but they're dated. So we're going to get some new ones. Are they going to be individual rifle teams? I mean, are they going to be rifle teams like we see now? Are they going to be individual riflers? Who knows? Now, one thing I do want to note on here is that missing are the Storm Fiends and the Plague Monks, which is a little concerning in one sense. Rat Ogres, get them out of there. They're old, bulky, dopey looking models, but the Storm Fiends are not in there, so that's good. Now, the Storm Fiends, I'm guessing, are probably going to be the replacement for the Rat Ogres in general. Because this definitely fits kind of that ideal image that Games Workshop has now going forward with how they do their models. Kind of give them some unique flavor to them versus just standard fantasy looking troops, right? So the Plague Monks, on the other hand, is the one that's a little bit more concerning. Is these are probably next to some of those older models like the Giselle or the Warp Fire Thrower. These are probably the oldest models, along with the Gutter Runners, in their collection, and they're not going anywhere. Yeah, for nostalgic sakes, or even at that time, they were really good units, but why aren't these getting replaced at all, or getting the axe altogether? So if they were going away, like they weren't going to be carried forward, why are they not just getting axed completely? It might be one of two things. They might be moving over to Old World, or they're just going to keep them in play. It's an odd thing, something that we're just going to kind of pay attention to going forward. It could very well be, whoops, we forgot to add the Plague Monks on there. So no big surprise that the Skaven are getting pretty much their entire line tossed out and replaced with newer models, since they are going to be the prime antagonist or protagonist, depending on which side of that skirmish or that battle that you like, what side of the fence or tracks or whatever it is that you swing to. Does that make sense? I hope so. All right, let's move on. So Bone Splitters, totally going to be gone. I think this is everything in the Bone Splitters. Which makes a little bit of sense because these are really more towards the Old World, and I think that's pretty much where we're going to see them going. Now, it does say that they're going to be getting a Battle Tome, Bone Splitters, as a free download. We're going to talk about those a little bit after this, after we cover the models, but they're just going to be gone, which makes sense because you look at, we got the Orcs, or I guess they're the Ardboy, whatever they're called now, Oruks, I think that's it. And then we got the skeezy swamp orcs, and then we got the Gabos. So these ones, they're gone. I mean, they're such old looking models. The only one that's surprised is Hadrek's Mad Mob. They kind of look cool, and I think they're a bit of a newer unit, but other than that, bye guys. So Slaves to Darkness, now this is a big kicker right here. So these ones are going to go straight to Legends, and these are all the Slave to Darkness units from the very beginning of Warcry to the most recent, I think it's the Unmade. Is it the Unmade? No, Horns of Hashut. They're the most recent one. So all these 11 units are for Slaves to Darkness in Age of Sigmar. They are leaving the line, going over to Legends, right? So, but they're not going to produce these anymore. And a lot of these just recently came out, like I said, Horns of Hashut. So that is an interesting move, and it makes me wonder if these are leaving the production line. What does that say for Warcry? Because these are, I mean, that's 11 units from Warcry gone. Just gone. They're not going to be producing them anymore. So what does this mean going forward? I don't know, to be honest. It's a little frightening because a lot of these models are really cool units. They really great sculpts. It makes me wonder, is Warcry doing as bad as we think it is? Yes, there's people out there who love Warcry. They bought Warcry. They might not be playing it, but they loved it, right? And there's still the Warcry players out there, but is it going the way of the dodo? Is Warcry on shaky ground? Possibly. 11 units gone, right? And that's what, about 8 models, I think, maybe 10 models per warband. So what is that? 110 models gone, just gone. It's crazy. Moving on. Beast of Chaos, not a big surprise. A lot of actually, with the exception of the endless spells, all the original Beast of Chaos, especially if you're a fan of Goat Boys, you love these guys. The Beast of Chaos were originally designed for what's now called the Old World, but the original Warhammer Fantasy before Age of Sigmar come out. You can even see it in their models that the way that they're posed, they're easy for rank and file versus the newer kind of skirmish style, with the exception, like I said, of like the end of spells and stuff. These are definitely, a lot of these models are really old, and some have been updated a little bit. What we're not seeing on here are what are they called, the Great Brays. So I don't know what that means going forward. Does that mean that they're the Beastigores now? So it's a little sad to see them go, but I wonder, is the Beast of Chaos, are they one of the underdogs, not underdogs, the undersold? Probably one of the least played, because Games Workshop, they have access to all that data now from Frontline Games for the MetaWatch. So they're able to look at all that data, and they've been collecting data for a few years now. We've been looking at MetaWatch for probably about 3 years now, and they've been paying attention to numbers. And why support an army that's not making them any money, right? So there might be, let's say, globally, there might be 100 Beast of Chaos players, and they look at their numbers and they're just not moving a lot of Beast of Chaos. So that might be a reason why they're axing the line, or they could be totally axing it, going, you know what, we're going to combine this with Slaves of Darkness going forward. We're going to expand upon that army, and we're going to move the Beast of Chaos, or at least some of the units in there, like the Minotaur, or the Bulgors, or the Beastigores. We're going to roll them forward with the Slaves of Darkness. Don't know, but the entire line is going away for Age of Sigmar. But if you're an Old World player, you're still going to be able to use them in the Old World. And we'll talk about that. And some of the other units, kind of honorable mentions, if you will, but they're still going away. They're getting legends, are all these characters, the Branch Wraith, the Eternity Warden, Valkia the Bloody Scylla, Angfingrum, Mad Cat Shaman, Big Boss on Gigantic Spider, and Mistweaver Saiyan, I don't know. So they're all going away. Will they get new models? Who knows? A lot of these things are not even available right now. I'd say most of them have moved to last chance to buy, and then that's it. We've talked about last chance to buy here before. Once you see models get moved to online only, they get moved to last chance to buy, and then that is it. And that is what's happened, or what's going to be happening with all these models. Now, what does this mean for your existing armies right now for Age of Sigmar? They've already kind of mentioned it here. I'll go ahead and kind of read this off here for you. 2 factions, Beast of Chaos and Bone Splitters, as well as a number of older Stormcast Eternals from the Sacrosanct and Warrior Chambers will be receiving free to download digital battle tomes. So you're going to still get to play them. These will feature new background and rules and will be considered legal for use in competitive play until summer of 2025. At this point, they will move over to Warhammer Legends and will no longer be supported for competitive play. Elsewhere here in this article, it mentioned for future editions that play until 2025, which means that when that new edition hits in 2027, that, well, they're saying until summer 2025, but you will not see anything after this next edition that we're about ready to hit in just a few months. So whenever Age of Sigmar in 3 years, so 2027, hits their new edition, that'll be it. All the rules for Legends or Legacy, unless it's over in the Warhammer Old World, they're all the rules are going to go on. They're no longer going to support it. So this is going to be your last hurrah from now until summer of next year. So you have until June of next year when they start. That's the start of their fiscal year. So write it out right now and enjoy them as much as you want. I don't know how many of these armies are being played or these units that are going away that a lot of people are using, because there's lots of newer, hotter stuff out right now. And a lot of players like the new hotness. I mean, I like the new models that always come out, especially for Space Marines. I gobble them up when I can, and I'm sure you are the same. Now, does this mean that you have to go out and torch your models and put it on YouTube or Instagram and, you know, protest this eradication of these models that aren't making them any more money, or just, you know, they're kind of waste of space and time? You don't have to do that. You absolutely do not have to do that. What can you do with these models? There's lots of independent games that are miniature agnostic, meaning there are no set miniatures to use for the game. You can use whatever miniatures you want. You just follow the rules. A couple examples would be Oathmark and Kings of War. I think I like Oathmark a little bit better. I like what Osprey Press is doing, but Kings of War is another one where you can take these models and transition them over and play these, quite frankly, somewhat better rules and faster games than what Games Workshop has. They're like Oathmark. They don't have as many clunky rules, in my opinion, or a lot of contradicting rules that Games Workshop tends to have. And we've talked about that before. I'm not going to kick a dead horse over that, but these games are available for you to play. And I can almost guarantee you that there are people that are playing Kings of War and Oathmark. I'm sure there's a few others that are at your local stores. You can go easily pick up these books. I think Oathmark is like $25-$30. And that's it. You got everything you need in that book. One Page Rules, I believe, has a fantasy version too. There's another game right there, and I think those rules are free. So is this the end of your collection for Age of Sigmar? Yes. But, well, as of 2025. But is it the end of their use? No, you can still get a lot of use out of these models. And at the very least, put them up in a fancy IKEA display case that we all get, and put them in there and just look at them going, those are the heyday. Anyways, let's look at my new models and go at it. It's not the end, guys and gals. You can still use your models. You can still set them up in rank and file and kind of look at them like, oh, these guys are awesome looking, and maybe talk to them or have them talk like, oh, we're going to get the orcs, or whatever. You know what I'm talking about. Do a little bit of role play in your head when nobody's listening or looking. You know what I'm talking about. At any rate, it's not the end of the world. There's still life with these models. It's up to you what you're going to do with it and how much effort you want to put into it. So let me know what you guys think. I'd love to hear your thoughts on all these models leaving the range, which beyond a couple of the ones that I've mentioned, which units do you think of these model ranges are going to move forward? Whether they'll probably get new names, but do you think that they will move forward, or are they all just going to be going way the dodo? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure that you like and subscribe. I really appreciate you guys supporting me, especially over this last year or half year that I was out of action. Anyways, I'll chat with you all later. Have a wonderful day.